What you're describing is what I've been saying is the death of the open web as a destination, as a source of traffic.
Yeah.
It's really more about creating information artifacts on the open web that are then consumed by the LLMs. And the LLMs use those as components to come up with their answers.
I believe that still today, most of your traffic and conversions and revenue very likely from all the search channels out there, like Google will still be or tend to be number one, even if it has decreased a lot because of AI overviews.
But I like what you said about people evolving from like this SEO mind space. Even now adding on GEO, I still think it's not the right directionality for us as an industry. We have to be thinking more holistic search.
We cannot expect to replace the traffic that we have been bringing with Google, with the one of LLMs, because it won't happen.
Right now, we see ads inside AI overviews about 7% of the time. The rest of the time, they're either above the AI overview or below the AI overview.
Yeah.
AI Marketing Podcast.
Tell me about this year, like before we get the pod started, like what have you been working on and what are you excited about right now?
Well, I'm very excited about the shift that is happening with AI search. I know and I understand that people are a little bit, feeling that they don't know where they stand, right? Like a little bit like disconcerted and at some point a little bit struggling to be able to navigate the current situation. But I think that most of the people who I hear saying that are the people who started in SEO potentially in the last 5 years or so, when the industry was already very well settled, very mature. I started doing SEO back in 2007. So we were much more used to not rely on everything that Google said. Try things on your own, not having all the data and navigate the uncertainty. And I believe that those of us who are more used to that, let's say, are more excited because we know that it brings opportunity. It brings possibilities.
Yeah,
it amplifies and expands things rather than restricting them. It's just that they're going to be different for sure. But yes, I see the two side of things, and of course I also have a little bit of a mix. It's not all like amazing. We need to navigate that and evangelize clients, especially to be able to explain without having necessarily all the data that we needed. So I'm like the crazy one who's like asking Google and OpenAI to share data from the
More
LLMs. Yeah, 100%. And that still is not happening, right? Hopefully soon. But yes, we have challenges like this. But
Definitely.
yes, I'm positive about the whole shift.
Definitely, I like that you said that because I think the truth is I think a lot of people are nervous.
Yeah.
Right. You look a year ago, and SGE was just an experiment, and now it's the default, it's the new normal, right? With AI overviews, search is becoming more fragmented, and actually, I think it's a great opportunity. Do you think we're at a point now today where it makes sense for there to be firms that say we actually specialize in getting you more visible in ChatGPT? We're less focused on Google. Do you think that is becoming more acceptable?
Yes. So I believe that still today, most of your traffic and conversions and revenue very likely from all the search channels out there, like Google will still be or tend to be number one, even if it has decreased a lot because of AI overviews. And it all depends again on your own context, in which vertical you are. So for example, if you are an affiliate, if you are a publisher, if you target a lot of informational content and you don't have your own product or service, you will likely have had the biggest, let's say, challenges.
For sure.
I work, thankfully, and this is completely by luck, right? Like, coincidentally, most of my clients are whether e-commerce or marketplaces or SaaS. These players, because they have their own product, their own service, haven't necessarily been hit a lot from organic search revenue, necessarily, right? In some cases, those that had invested a little bit more on top of the funnel informational content, they might have been hit a little bit from a raw traffic standpoint, but not actual conversions. So there's that. However, I can't completely understand if you're a publisher and have had like a lot of backlash because of that. So I can definitely see the why you need to diversify right now, and not only to LLMs, because still today, and this is something that I am actually going to speak about more and more in my session later today and more at conferences, we cannot expect to replace the traffic that we had been bringing with Google, with the one of LLMs, because it won't happen. It won't. Because the outcome that we should expect, at least directly, right? Because the type of traffic, because of the type of format, of the output, of the UI, the type of interactions that users have with LLMs as platforms, we cannot expect the same type of performance-driven raw traffic like this. No, the type of outcome
Agreed.
will be different. It will be a mix of, yes, a little bit of traffic, but then visibility and this branding and visibility that you will get. It's very, very important because it will highly influence the decision-making process that more and more people are making within LLMs or thanks to LLM. Then it is another matter if right now they're able to convert completely from that within those platforms. They cannot in most cases right now. This is changing right now with the release from OpenAI a couple of weeks ago of their own checkout platform, and then and their agentic e-commerce protocol as well. So this will change entirely in the next few months, and it will become much more straightforward, hopefully, also to measure and to identify the value of the transactional side of things from there. But even still, without that, I believe that a lot of us are trying to assess the value of LLMs as if it was only a performance channel, because those were the metrics that we were using and we have been used to use with traditional search engines. But it's not like this with LLMs. There is a brand play as well, and an influence, the type of influence and visibility and reputation management
from the LLMs as much.
Yeah.
We're not gonna. I like what you said there, that we're not going to replace the traffic.
Yeah,
and it's the way that this thing plays out is we're as searchers going to be staying native into the platforms that we're searching on.
Yeah.
And so instead of getting all this traffic and the ability to retarget people, we're going to lose that.
Yeah.
But we'll gain something better.
Yeah, different. At least let's see if in the future better or not. It will depend a little bit on, again, your vertical and how it influences decision making depending on what type of product or service. Because let's say, let's be realistic. If you're an affiliate, let's say, who don't have a direct product or service, or you don't have a very unique selling proposition, or a real brand or established brand, you are going to struggle a lot there. Yeah. So from that regard, also, something before I forget, I also highly recommend, and of course, it depends a little bit on your resources, where you stand, where your audience is to diversify in different platforms. The discovery platforms are used by your audience where you can create organic presence. And that can be YouTube, and that can be TikTok or Instagram or Reddit or even LinkedIn, right? It depends a little bit of if you are B2B, B2C, your sector, etc. There are fantastic tools that you can use to identify where your audience is, and like the audiences who visit websites X, Y, Z, where do they go or where they are coming from, etc. In bulk, like from similar web to Spartoro and the likes, right? But yes, I believe that it is worthy right now to diversify. At the end of the day, I see more and more, it's more obvious now than ever, the work as SEOs is not to optimize for Google or the traditional search from Google, because it is diversifying right now to LLMs, not only to LLMs, but to social platforms. They are also used a lot as sources by LLMs as well. Yeah. You process in YouTube, in Reddit, and so on. Yeah.
So like what we found is that the social platforms, from a visibility standpoint, we're not seeing them used as much as citations inside the answer canvases that we're looking at. But I like what you said about people evolving from like this SEO mind space, even now adding on GEO. I still think it's not the right directionality for us as an industry. We have to be thinking more holistic search. And that includes also paid media, because there's three, I don't know if you saw my talk today, but there are three kind of laws to Google economics. Law number one, zero-click searches will never peak. They will always increase year over year. We'll see more and more zero-click searches. Agentic is just an extension of this process.
Yeah.
The second law is that there will always be more clicks sent to paid media. The ads are always going to get more clicks because that's Google's financial incentive.
Yeah.
That's their business model. So they're always going to promote more clicks toward ads. So if we want that visibility, we have to also learn, not just be SEOs, but also paid media marketers and understand the paid media side.
Let's see how Google integrates ads at the end of the day in their interface. Like a lot of people, by the way, ask me right now, it's like, when do you think that this is going to be actually game changing, right? Because we saw how Google has been releasing now in most countries AI mode, and it's not necessarily changing much more of what AI overviews had already changed things, the status quo, but this is just because the entry point to AI mode is pretty much through AI overviews and that tab that nobody will tend to click because it's not so visible. However, 100%, like when AI mode is released as the default experience, that will completely change things. However, when is that going to happen? It will happen until Google is able to validate well that they can feature ads in a similar, in a way that is as profitable at the very least as they have right now. Because at the end of the day, this is how they make money, and then that's their business model. And the only, I believe that the only reason that they haven't gone ahead and tried to do what ChatGPT has been doing or OpenAI has been doing so far is just because they have more skin in the game. The whole business model relies on the traditional search still, but that will change 100%.
We've published data on this. I think our data is the most comprehensive and the most recent from Search Atlas. What we see is that the AI overviews, like incidents that we see, started around like 7-8%, and it's climbing in a very like linear fashion. And so what we're looking at is, and we run this study every week to look at what percentage of AI overviews are we seeing in SERPs, and we see that that percentage is slowly climbing. And then we broke that down by search intent type: informational, commercial, transactional, navigational. Informational queries, we see about 68% of those have the AI overviews. So we see more AI overviews in informational queries. We see about 28% of commercial queries have AI overviews. Transactional and navigational are just a couple percent.
Yeah.
So when we look at the trajectory of the AI overviews, this time next year, if that linear regression stays true and we're on that path, we'll be at about like a 27 to 30% AI overview incidence rate across all search queries. The big question is, are we going to see more cannibalization than we're seeing right now on commercial and on transactional?
I think that we will.
It's more of a CRO question of like, how do they bake the ads into the AI overviews? Right now, we see ads inside AI overviews about 7% of the time. The rest of the time, they're either above the AI overview or below the AI overview.
Yeah.
So it's, and you mentioned this, which is essentially, how does Google get the same amount of clicks or more clicks in that UI? And so for it's more of a CRO question for Google. How do they make sure they're getting more clicks?
The experience, the engagement, indeed, the conversion. Then also, speaking about commercial, in a lot of cases, a lot of the product-related commercial queries, the ones of like, for example, black jeans for the winter, for skinny jeans for women for the winters, things like that, right? Like these are not the type of queries that will tend to trigger AI overviews because they still trigger right now when it's sort of like product packs, both paid and organic as well. And the product packs, remember that you click on the product pack, and these are all sort of features that have impacted a lot the commercial side of queries, the product ones, in a similar way that AI overviews have impacted the informational ones for publishers without being even AI related, but just those product packs that have kept the user a lot more into their Google SERPs ecosystem by clicking into one of the product packs inclusion, opening up the product knowledge panel and going through all of the aggregated reviews from third parties and their own, whatever. So they don't need to exit until they finally end up deciding which product to buy and clicking on comparing them there directly in the product knowledge panel, and then clicking on the final one, and they go to the PDP, they go to the product detail page directly to decide. For now. In the future, they might not necessarily even have to do that because they will have the buying option directly there, and then you can configure then indeed like the whole automated process. So next time it can be done without you having to even interact with it. 100%. It's going to get weird. So
let's fast forward the clock. We look ahead a couple of years, right? What you're describing is what I've been saying is the death of the open web as a destination, as a source of traffic.
Yeah.
It's really more about creating information artifacts on the open web that are then consumed by the LLMs. And the LLMs use those as components to come up with their answers. So then what is the role of the SEO or the marketer in that future when the open web is no longer a destination and instead it's the source of our components? What are we here? What are we doing?
Yeah, our is to ensure that we are findable, even if the one who tries to find us are not humans, but bots. And that shouldn't change. We're there to maximize the visibility and the findability of our content, of our products, of our offering, whatever the audience engages and are trying to look for products or services. And the audience might or might not be human anymore. So that will be our work. Now, how do we measure that and how do we prioritize that, etc.? Unfortunately, right now, it's very, very difficult because of the lack of first-party data, and we have a lot of data out there that is third-party, that is not necessarily complete, unfortunately, etc. And it's also very expensive to get many times, and also many times that changes a lot per vertical. So you were telling me about UGC. It depends a lot of time on from which vertical, type of product. So an example. One of my clients is a retailer that sells across very different product lines. And I hear you that for some of these product lines, for example, the jeans, for example, it is the brands that tend to get cited the most, and then a lot of fashion specialized publishers as well. So think about Vogue, for example. But then in other product niches, in product verticals, they will tend to get a little bit of more of the sources from YouTube videos, for example, made for those like more fashion type of jewelry type of products, for example. So it can change a lot. What I mean is it can change a lot for the vertical. And the problem I believe that we have right now is, well, we need to get the data. We need to validate well. We don't have that data many times at scale. There are more and more tools, thankfully, that are solving that problem that we have access. But hopefully in the future, also,
as far as I've seen, those tools are typically very flawed. And one of the big issues with them, and I talked to Brie about this, is these tools are typically using the OpenAI API.
Yes.
And the API by default doesn't do web search. So it's not triggering the RAG. And you're only looking at the base model's training data for all of the answers. That doesn't match. If you type into ChatGPT something about jeans, that's not going to match your response. And so the tools the industry are currently using are not really using web search. They're just looking at the base model's training data. So already that is like a big problem.
Yeah.
And then the other issue is you can't, unless you really went through great lengths to map out that topical universe and find all the ways of asking the question to kind of remotely encapsulate your market. There's no search volume data that we have from ChatGPT and what topics people are searching. And it's kind of hard for us to get a true map of the entire visibility across an entire universe of keywords. There's no GSC, right?
This is something that I have been trying to push platforms to share with us, hopefully, at some point. Let's see. But I think that there are players like, for example, Profound, that are trying to solve that, providing certain type of metrics to gauge a little bit of opportunity. But by all means, one of the things that I'm going to actually talk in my presentation today is some of the mistakes that I see people doing is obsessing on specific prompts that they get from those tools or the specific inclusions, because as you will say, even if we are able to track if the answer triggers a web search or not, it changes from time to time. It's not always necessarily consistent, even for the same prompt. And the prompt also can be highly, highly personalized, used by the memory of the user and the whole context and history, etc., the location, etc.
Many variables.
A lot of things. So
complex.
my one of the points that I try to make in my presentation, and I know that it's not necessarily super cost effective or straightforward, and it's not a one-trick pony type of thing to do, and we need proper support of marketing as a department in order to do that, that is yet another reason why you cannot just stop investing in all of a sudden on top of the funnel content, and that's it, which is one of the advices that I have heard out there being shared
To
just
not do
because
top of funnel content.
top of the just because it won't bring you traffic anymore. The type of traffic that it used to bring before AI overviews, right? And I'm like, okay, maybe you don't want to continue investing on that type of top of the funnel that has stopped bringing you traffic because it was very likely very shallow content or very generic or very glossary light type of content that of course it won't anymore. But you do want to continue not only top of the funnel but the full funnel for each one of your use cases, for each one of your personas, because that is how you are going to make sure to be a little bit less, let's say, sensible to the personalization skew that your users are going to have, and to be able to get surface through the full customer journey. And and I know that is not the answer because we love easy answers and we love straightforward type of easy tricks in SEO. Unfortunately, this is how we are, and I know that this is not the type of answer that we love to hear, but it's a reality, right? And for example, the type of resources is like from features comparison to use cases to your own communities, to your own forums, and this is not something that you will very likely should be able to run as an SEO, right? You need to have a good conversational alignment with your community management team, with your digital PR team, right?
Yeah.
In order to get citations, in order to get coverage, and so on.
I think the informational strategy was always like no one really made a ton of money from their informational content on the site directly, right? Like no one. Why is the sky blue? And then goes and buys something. It's informational content. The opportunity that we had as omnichannel marketers was to take that informational content and retarget the people who came to our site, who clicked on those pages and landed. The other reason we did it was because it was part of the topical relevance equation. That like for Google, we could boost our topical relevance and become one of the authorities in our topical boundary by creating that informational content. How Google's equation around topical relevance shifts in light of some of the changes and less clicks going to the sites, we'll have to see. But that informational content is actually still very important to establish
authority,
yourself and
yes,
the authority
100%,
in the space. So
100%.
you still have to do that. But I think from a direct monetization standpoint, we're going to start to see more people shift informational style content into YouTube.
Yeah.
Where in YouTube, we can answer the question they're looking for informationally with a video, but then lead them in their buyer journey from being problem aware to then solution aware to then maybe contemplate buying a product.
Yeah.
But at least there's still that informational query space happening.
100%.
We can still rank for it. We can get it. But we have to do it through video content instead of through blog content. And I think that's like the industry is already starting to do this. I interviewed Austin Armstrong, founder of Syllabi, and he has built a short form AI video creation platform, right? And it's all AI generated content. And some of it is able to rank on Google. And so people are doing that to scoop up that informational traffic because that's still ranking and getting visibility. But, you know, in general, like, I don't know, filling the internet with spam doesn't really feel like to me the way that we advance from here, just filling
You
it
need
up
to
with
be
a bunch
much
of
more
crap.
thoughtful on what you put out there, and that it really needs to be on brand, literally. And that is the question that I'm asking people to ask anytime that they do something. It's like, is this on brand? Is this aligned to what I want to stand out? That this is how I want to be known, and this showcases or highlights my unique selling proposition of my company, of my client, of my features. And if it doesn't, maybe it's not worth it, and you should invest on another thing. So yeah.
So if SEO becomes more of like a brand channel, right? Not as much of a performance channel as it has been historically. Let's say search in general becomes more about brand and less about direct performance. How do you think the industry as a whole, how are we going to show brands that we've had a positive impact on their bottom line? Because of course the search behavior is still happening. How are we going to show that to them? What do you think?
That it's going to be one of the new tricky things that we will need to navigate, but also learn and embrace. It's like, how do they do it with TV ads, for example, or how do they measure attributions of other type of branding, type of actions or campaigns that they do, right? And
messy.
It's not so straightforward.
Yeah, very messy.
It's very, very messy indeed. And unfortunately, here right now, I don't have all the answers, but we will need to start. And this is something that I actually share with the profound people who are here present. Like, the tools that right now are providing a solution for LLM tracking, AI visibility tracking, they need to go the extra step in order to be able to measure the full funnel in one or another way, even if it is not straightforward, to be able to identify even if the attribution, multi-step attribution, not direct attribution, but to be able to measure the engagement of the user in certain ways and how appearing in a positive sentiment type of answer at the beginning of one of the searches end up impacting X or Y audiences at the end of the funnel, even if they don't convert in the same conversation or within the same conversation right there, but later on, or not even in the same platform, but we are able to tag them to identify them later on if they come direct through a direct source to our website, right? So yes, definitely tricky, definitely challenging, but I believe that we should be able to try to.
At least we can still see them in GA4 as referral traffic. So when we look at our traffic from LLMs, I mean, our traffic's exploding from LLMs, our visibility is skyrocketing, which is great. And we also see the conversion rates are significantly higher, 5x, 10x higher than typical SEO traffic. So there's a real incentive and imperative to optimize for it. But the problem will be when things go and become more agentic and that click isn't taking place. And the agents themselves have already indexed your web page corpus and they're transacting via that commerce protocol. We're not going to see them in GA4 the way we can right now. And
hopefully,
so that's where the transparency comes
one of the things, 100%. So one of the things that I actually saw were questions. I think it was Simon Bremen who was asking when the OpenAI released or announced it a couple of weeks ago. It's like, okay, first, like they didn't even disclose like very basic information about like how much you are going to charge for every transaction first. Secondly, what type of dashboard or
what are you going to give us?
Are you going to give us to understand not only like if the conversion, but the revenue, like how many interactions, like the conversion rate, or like everything, right? Like they didn't disclose anything at all, and I was a little bit appalled. I was like, so I should be paying them for something, and what is the type of visibility or tracking that I will have?
Do you think ChatGPT is going to take a fee for the transactions?
Well, they have mentioned that there's going to be a little bit of a fee taking place. I don't know if it is necessarily them or the payment processor that is being used, or for that matter, or due to that matter, yet. But yes, it seems that there's going to be a certain fee for it. Now, there's the thing: how do I control that? This should be a way to monitor the whole activity and transactions and revenue, especially if there's money and a direct transaction going on.
For sure.
But still today, I don't see that we have yet answers or insights that they have disclosed, unfortunately.
Yeah. And also, if we can get a universal layer, because it's not just going to be ChatGPT, it's going to be the comment browser from Perplexity. It's going to be Chrome as well, and the Chrome agents as well. So we're going to get a bunch of agents that are going to be moving people through the buying funnel.
Yeah.
And there will be abandoned carts.
Yeah.
And there will be opportunities there to bring people back. And how we actually get to retarget them, do we have to pay ChatGPT to retarget them? Are they going to create an ad platform that we're going to have to start running ads on?
Well, they it's funny that you mentioned this, because they literally were trying to hire someone leading advertisement or in charge to create an advertisement program, from what I heard. And then also, like, I believe in one of the last conversations or interviews that OpenAI people had done, like they went from, we don't want ads or in our platform, whatever, they went to, we need to monetize this in some way.
It always starts this way. Google said the same in the beginning, there'll be no ads, then there are ads. Every platform evolves in that way, and that's an interesting sign of the times. So that, I think, speaks even more to this idea. As search marketers, to preserve our visibility, we kind of have to start looking at the paid media angles as well, right?
Sure.
Anyways, really interesting landscape. What are you most excited to do new research into and study going into 2026?
I am excited about the opportunity I think that it brings to a lot of companies who had, for example, been very used to follow the same playbook year on year again. And for next year, I already have companies who have like, okay, Aleyda, let's try to have a little bit of a roadmap of sorts to try to leave some budget and resources and flexibility to start doing things and testing things for AI search. So I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
And there's this openness and willingness too. It's like there's a news channel, there's opportunity, etc. And we know that we should invest not only tech but also content and also about the push that this has given me to be able to incentivize for their certain type of activities that were very well needed for transitional search, but they have been in backlog because it was supposedly not necessarily such a big problem anymore. But since they are even much more critical for AI search, now they are finally being prioritized further, right? So, for example, server-side rendering, without not avoiding to over-rely on client-side rendering JavaScript for key content, links, and so on. So this type of thing. So I am also excited about the opportunity to finally do certain things that I have wanted to do for a long time and opportunity I couldn't.
Getting the buy-in from the technical SEOs to actually move client side to server side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, evangelizing and making decision makers to see a lot of the activities that in the past they didn't see necessarily the value for SEO. Digital PR. Oh, no. They want backlinks and they need to be followed and with that rich anchor tag, like whatever. But now, since it is obvious that they have a role in AI search, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter that it's not even a link. So I think that we should leverage that, not to, let's say, smoke sell or in any case, but in order to try to, let's say, incentivize to do things that we know are good, that are going to have an impact not only with AI search, but also already in traditional search. And we had been blocked for a long time because they couldn't see the direct value with traditional search. But there is much more obvious one with AI search, or at least the opportunity for that. And they are willing now to invest in that.
The openness to kind of change the rules a bit, relax some of the fundamental perspectives.
This is one of the conversations, and I'm pretty sure that you have seen happening again also with your clients, like literally the decision makers that in the past, even if traditional organic search has been bringing 80% of the traffic during years, they didn't want to hear about like spending more than X or Y in content or in technical changes or things like that. But all of a sudden, AI search that is not even bringing more than 2% in referral traffic, and it's nothing compared to with traditional search. They are much more willing because all of the hype and the buzz that they hear from their peers and big media, right? So I think that, well, it's okay to leverage that if as long as it's something that we know that is positive anyway, in any case, and should have been done already for a while.
I think it's important because search has always had this dynamic that the rich get richer, right? And so getting search visibility begets more search visibility. And as landscape becomes more competitive over time, which it will, it's going to get harder and harder to get that visibility. And so the brands that are early to this game and being experimental and being open-minded to trying new ways of doing things, some of them are going to see geometric outcomes. And I know we're going to start to hear about brands that have actually the other way around. Huge visibility in ChatGPT, very low visibility in Google search. It's going to start to happen. I think one of the challenges of the industry is that there is no universal framework for how to do GEO that has been unified and agreed upon by the industry as a large. And the amount of case studies that people have are largely, I would say, very primitive case studies of cherry picking, ranking for like the best blue shirt in Toronto for people who are, women from Spain, right? Sure, we can rank for that. But is anyone ever going to search for that?
100%. No, that is why I believe that what is important is to build topical authority. So independently of whatever wording or specific prompt is used, if you are the source and you are able to tackle or target like the most important queries through your customer journey for your audience, you know that you should maximize the chances to be shown in there on one hand. And I know that, easier said than done because a lot of investment there. That on one hand. And then proactivity, as you mentioned, to test. You need to be testing right now. This is the time to test, to identify new things, to also stop thinking that you know it all and things are not going to change, because something that it is true, and by all means, it's actually true right now. It might not be in a week since a couple of months. And it's not because we have been lying. No, because things are shifting very fast. And it's important to keep our open minds right now and to communicate that also to clients. So they don't think that we're deceiving them. No, it's not that we are deceiving. It's like things are changing a lot right now. And it's okay to test, and we should be able to test. And what you said before, 100%, the brands that are willing to test, that are willing to be proactive, willing to be the first, are the ones who are going to profit the most and identify opportunities and be the references, the next references, and leverage much more. So my recommendation will be to try to be one of those for sure.
Yeah, be a pioneer.
100%. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Aleyda, super fascinating to talk to you and hear your perspective on the game. I can't wait to check in a year from now on all the changes and see what is search in 2026.
Let's see. It will be awesome to have the same conversation next year and to be able to compare what we were thinking now to what is actually happening in a year. Right? Like, very exciting.
For sure.
Thank you for the opportunity.